Good morning, Intenders.
Good morning.
Welcome and welcome back to Morning Intentions. Today is Monday, June 29th. And even though it's not a brand new month, it is a brand new theme. Of course, there's only 2 days left in June, so it's not that big of a deal. We have learned that you can start a new theme anytime. We want to first thank everyone who sent in suggestions for this month's theme. They're all wonderful, and I bet we end up using most of them as we go throughout the months of the podcast. But for this month, if you submitted this one, you'll know who you are, and we thank you.
It was one of the very first ones we received.
And we just thought this is going to be perfect, especially after a month of curiosity and the art of enjoying life. The theme of this month is life changes and reprioritizing. We loved this idea because as you become more curious, as you learn to enjoy life, there are going to be changes.
And you're probably going to need to reprioritize.
No doubt about it. So what do? If you know things need to change or you're making those changes, now what do? Now that you see life differently, what are you going to do about it? And that's what this month is all about.
One thing we all know about life is that it is constantly changing. We typically will suffer or suffer more when we want to hold on to the way life used to be, an old version of life, instead of learning how to be intentional building a new life. When we were going through curiosity and the art of enjoying life, we were thinking about, and then right away we received this email, and one of the suggestions was reprioritizing. That stuck with me all last month because to have a different life, we must learn to see life differently and also to approach life differently. That's what this is all about, to have a different life. So if we really weren't coming at life from this sense of curiosity and the art of enjoying life, and now we know from last month, this actually would help me to be a lot more peaceful. This would give me this sense of calm. And in order to do that, I need to show up differently, and that means I need to reprioritize. So this is an intentional month. Like Ada and I, we're not into the quick fixes. So this is going to be another intentional month because we might have to look at some of the relationships, habits, ways of thinking even that we've been holding on to. And now we know they don't serve us. Just like me, when I was sharing last month about how instead of enjoying my dinner guests, I can get all caught up in how the food looks on the plate, let alone how it tastes. Not even doing that. It's just, well, how did it look? If it doesn't look how I think it should look or how I wanted it to look, being very attached to the outcome there, then I rob myself of the joy of connection. That's what reprioritizing will help us to do, to look at life and to see this is what's important to me now.
And what's always important to us is working definitions. And we have one for us for the month. Reprioritizing is the intentional practice of adjusting how we spend our time, energy, attention, and resources so they reflect who we are becoming rather than who we used to be. Say that one more time. Reprioritizing is the intentional practice of adjusting how we spend our time, energy, attention, and resources so they reflect who we are becoming rather than who we used to be.
So we had an experience last week, and I wanted to share it with all of you because it brought home, for me at least, what it means to reprioritize. Last week, I was leaving for work and Ada and I were working separately that day. She was working somewhere, and then I was going to go off and visit some clients. I was packing everything up, and then Dawn came in and said, "There's a fire outside." So I ran outside, and sure enough, there was a fire way too close to my home that I would ever want it to be. And I called 911, and 911 said to me, "Well, didn't you receive the evacuation order?" And I said, "No, I didn't receive an evacuation order, and this fire is coming close to our home." So we had a very short amount of time to figure out, how do we get the dogs off the property? What do we want to take in this emergency? I went into my house and I thought to myself, if this is the last time I see this house, yes, I will be sad. I've lived here for a very long time. But I also thought to myself, but if Dawn and I get out of here and we have our dogs, we'll be okay. We'll be okay. And that was a strikingly different response than I would have had in like 10 years ago. 10 years ago, it would be, oh, I want to save this from the house, or I want to save that from the house. And of course, there's things that I would have been heartbroken over, but not really. A lot of this work that we've been doing, like, what are my values? Am I living in alignment with my values? All the work that we've been doing together in the podcast, I didn't have to decide about what my reaction would be. My reaction was, as long as everybody is safe, a house can be rebuilt. And I meant it. Now, I'm also very fortunate and happy that the house didn't burn down. So I'm kind of sharing this from a perspective that I didn't have to go through that heart-wrenching scene of seeing my house burn down, which many people are not that lucky when they have a fire that close to their home. But it was just this realization inside of me. I knew that it doesn't matter what things look like. It doesn't matter what anyone else is saying about me or anybody else. The only thing that matters is being with the people that I love. I would have said that years ago, but those would have been words that now are words that are completely true. And so that's what this month is about, reprioritizing our lives. So what is true is really true, and we live that out.
I want to say what a great experience. I know it didn't feel great, but what a great experience to show you how far you've come. And also, it can be only in those moments where you only have so much time and your mind says, well, what do I grab?
Grab your husband and your dogs.
And then you say, that's enough.
Yeah.
I'm okay if that's all I have.
What sealed the deal for me is then the next day I was emailing with a friend and she said, you really had an experience that showed you what your priorities are. I didn't even tell her about reprioritizing and the theme that we were thinking of having. She was correct. I know my priorities and it feels good.
So our first intention of this theme is a reflection question. I know I love the reflection questions because they get me thinking and then I can put them into action. So our very first reflection question is, we all know life is constantly changing. We've all heard that. The only constant is change. What am I holding on to that is causing me to suffer? What am I holding on to that is causing me to suffer? Thank you so much for joining us today. Our day is better because you are a part of our day. See you tomorrow.
See you then.